308 AR-10, loads of fun, pretty versatile round. Not quite as versatile as 12 gauge. Wouldn't it be great if you could take your favorite AR-10 lower, pop the pins, slap on a different lower or a different upper, and run 12 gauge without having to make any other changes. You can, because this is Genesis Arms. Welcome back to GB Guns. We are with Cody of Genesis Arms in Idaho. And Cody, the Gen 12 Genesis Arms uppers, for the viewers that have been with us for a while, been kind of riding along through some of the evolutions here. It's just awesome. You get the versatility of 12 gauge and all the bajillion loads that are out there, slapping onto an AR-10 lower.
Oh, absolutely.
It makes having a pistol viable, chambered in 12 gauge, which is handy for, well, lots of things. I've seen a lot of AR patterned shotguns before, but never an upper that slaps onto a lower until you guys. Why is that?
Excellent. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of history about how we came to the platform we're on, and some of that had to do with the objectives we had in mind. So first off, we wanted to make a true AR 12 gauge. So that required to find a receiver which would allow the 12 gauge shell to fit within the magazine. We looked at magazines that were currently available for 12 gauge mag-fed shotguns, and honestly it was the shortcoming. And in order for us to maintain the true AR 308 pattern, we needed to build our own mag. So that's where it all started. We built our own mag, and then we decided to look at how we're going to make this operate the 12 gauge shell. And as you are very familiar with, 12 gauge shells are not all the same.
No.
So different textures on the outside, different loads, and even within the same shell, you're going to get different load variables.
Or even when it's the same advertised projectile weight and velocity, the way that pressure is reached seems to be a little bit differently, and you can have, like, let's say 1200 foot per second, ounce and an eighth bird shot from brand X runs great in your gun. Brand Y, it doesn't, and you can't figure out why. That's what really impressed me with the Gen 12 uppers when we did our What's for Dinner 12 gauge style testing. It ran anything that I'd want to be shooting out of a gun. So what all went into that? What makes it operate?
Absolutely. So, you know, to finish off, we were able to literally build a conversion kit. And in the end, that's how it all happened, is that we were able to build a 12 gauge upper that goes on 308 pattern lowers. Currently, our offering is for the DPMS pattern, and we have a variety of lowers that are out there because there was no true mil spec. It's based on the DPMS pattern originally. So to accommodate all the different loads that are out there, pressures and all that unknown, I guess you could say, with the 12 gauge, we decided to go with what they call short recoil. And the barrel actually reciprocates just similar to a pistol would. So that's what drives the initial operation of the cyclic operation. There's no gas piston, no gas tube. And in the 12 gauge, what makes that unique is that because you have wads that travel down the barrel, that can clog up gas ports or piston holes. Additionally, lead can get stuck in those, and that can cause reliability issues for your 12 gauge magazine fed gun. Yeah, and also without it being gas operated, you're not pooping where it eats, causing fouling up in the front end. That's one thing those who've watched the channel for a while know I'm notorious for running guns nearly dry and only cleaning them when they stop functioning. Add to that our Pacific Northwest changes in humidity and rain and all that, and I can have some pretty nasty guns. But this thing keeps on running because it doesn't have all that extra carbon in it. Correct. Yeah, so that married with our magazine, which both of these items are patented to us, so it's our intellectual property. That's why you're not going to see anybody else with this offering. And then as a consumer, as someone they purchases just an upper and they want to do a conversion, we include what's called a beef up kit. and just give you an idea what that includes, is that you're going to get 2 trigger pins, and they're the anti-walk pins, and that's because depending on the size of, like if you're running an 18-inch or a stocked version of our Gen 12, whether it's a 10.5 SBS, then you're going to want to increase those over the standard stock pins, because you'll break those, and that would be a bad day when you're trying to operate your firearm with broken trigger pins. We also include 2 springs, which allow the system to handle the 12 gauge recoil. And so we give you a new magazine button spring, and then also a new bolt catch spring. And you have to install those in your lower receiver. A failure to do that, you'll get premature ejection out of the magazine under firing.
Something no man wants.
Or you'll get premature bolt lock. And again, you don't want that, especially if that's what you need to be doing at the time. We also include 2 other items. One of these 2 items is necessary, and that is the magazine bar itself. We add a steeper bevel, and that's due to the nature of our magazine. It is 100% reverse compatible if you take a 308 upper back to your, beefed up lower. So you're not going to have any reverse compatibility issues. In fact, you might get you might find an enhancement out of this.
In fact, yeah, the rifle used in that intro there has had that conversion, and we've since used it, as you saw in the beginning, in 308. Slap the different upper on, still runs 12, runs 308 either way.
Yeah, so it's just an enhancement in the end. The last piece, which we've tried to mitigate the installation of this, is the bolt catch itself. So we include a bolt catch, and the end user can install that if they choose to. The way that you check that is you install it, before installing it, you put the Gen 12 upper on it, and you try to manually run the charging handle to move the bolt carrier. And if you get any snagging across the top of the bolt catch, then you would want to replace it with the one we provide, and you won't have, any issue going back between 308 and the 12 gauge.
And part of that challenge is that the challenge that you guys overcame, as you mentioned, is there was no mil-spec of the AR-10. Those who have seen our Why AR-10 video understand that between cuts on the receivers to mag catch depth, mag catch location, dimensions, all of these things, really there is no standard for it. And it deterred people for a long time from getting into AR-10s because you couldn't mix and match. Some of that's kind of normalized, but more importantly, you guys have come up with an overall solution.
Absolutely. And it's also awesome too, you're able to utilize a lot of the AR features in the market. Like for example, accessories. So we have a variety of triggers. As long as you're getting good primer strikes with those triggers. Obviously ambi selectors that everybody wants to do, your pistol grips, stocks, and even other accessories like the Law folding adapter. Only recommended on 18-inch and then an SBS. If you go with our braced version guns that we offer in both 10.5-inch and 14.5-inch, like this is our 10.5, you could get this with an SB brace that ships direct to your FFL, and it's a non-NFA item.
Yeah, those are pretty awesome. Another thing, and perhaps we'll demonstrate this if the audience will please us, is running super light loads out of the shorties and having them run. Anyone who's messed with semi-auto shotguns knows load sensitivity can be an issue. Like I said, anything that I find worth shooting seems to run, and we can prove that again if that's what folks want to see.
A lot of our ammo that we use for testing is purchased from Walmart. It's just because it's the most abundant, and it's honestly what a lot of the users are going to get for just going to the range.
Yeah. Well, let's do it.
All right.
So we've talked about how the Gen 12 can run just about anything, so we're going to do a proverbial worst case scenario. We've got a 10.5-inch barrel with the extra reciprocating mass required by the Law Tactical Folder, Winchester White Box, Winchester AA, and Remington Gun Club. These are all very light loads. You can see how slow they're moving, the total weight, and the shot size. This is the kind of stuff that chokes a lot of semi-auto shotguns, and we're going to have Miss Tia do the shooting to see how it runs.
All right, first we've got the Remington Gun Club. now the Winchester AA. Smells like gas. And lastly, the Winchester Universal. I've been asked to shoot these faster. Ooh. Flinch.
Ran.
Did run.
So when these first came out, I was pretty excited about them. The limitation of the 5-round mag kind of dampened the fun. And now they've got these coming, 10-rounders, so that even with Rio, or Estate rather, we can deliver a lot of lead in a short amount of time. So I hope this little refresher on why we here at GB Guns are a fan of Genesis Arms has helped explain some things. You get the versatility of a 12 gauge, you're not giving up your AR-10. It can even run the light, cheap stuff you pick up at Walmart with the Law Tactical folder and 10-round mags. What else is there?
We're all set?
Yeah.